Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the training platform. And without wasting any time, I'm going to just kind of navigate through it and show you how it works. And then I'll just kind of go through a little brief history about why we even created it. So first things first, I'm already connected to 2 of the devices. I have 4 on the table right now. I don't think we need to go through those. It's not going to change much as far as explaining the training platform. I have them paired together and they're connected, right? And I'll just go into the goalie rod. Now, to get to the training, you go right here. The FoosFit logo right in the middle of the screen here. Now, we may actually add the word training or something later. It was kind of done on purpose a little bit because when we were still working on it and it was really kind of new, everything wasn't in there, so I wasn't really highlighting, I guess you'd say. But anyway, click right here and it's going to pull up the training. Now, sorry, I had already opened something up, as you can see. So the first screen you're going to come to is going to look just like this, right? So when you click it, you're just going to click on it and you're going to see this. Now, in the future, it may look a little bit different over time just because we may add some videos to the home screen, some help videos, and maybe some psychology or skill set stuff. But anyway, just quick refresher up top on the left here is that's the help button. That'll bring you to a series of YouTube videos which kind of go through everything you might have looked at. And then this is really the meat of it. It's sort of, you pick what you want to do, right? So it's pretty straightforward. If you want to work on your goalie game, then you're going to do that, right? I want to pass 2 to 5, pass 3 to 5. I want to shoot far side. That would imply like a pull shot or a pull kick, and then like shoot near side, right? If I want to work on the 5-row, brush pass, stick pass, chip pass. 3-row would be like pull push, roll over, right? So yes, there's other shots in foosball, but we had to pick, the highlights, and maybe if something else becomes popular like the front pin or something, maybe we can add some defenses. But to be honest with you, defenses for a rollover would be maybe very similar. Not exactly, but if there's a need, we can always add more videos, right? So just so you know, before we even go into the layout of the different defenses, they're all done exactly the same way on purpose to keep things consistent. So once you look at one setup, you'll kind of understand how they all are set up. So basically, let's just say, for example, you want to go to 3-row and then we select rollover. You're going to see a video at top, which is going to be sort of like a generic talking about the snake shot. It could be a video produced by us. Right now, it's actually a video that's been pulled in through an embed link through YouTube. Just one other note, to be honest with you, we didn't want to, repeat everything that was done on YouTube already. There's a lot of great videos out there by a lot of great players. Excellent tutorials by different people like Ryan Napton, Chase Pinnell, Unreal Foos, Zeke Fooser, and Foos by Series, right? I mean, there's just a whole bunch of stuff out there. So we're not looking to really repeat that theory. If we can add videos that enhance what you may have learned out there that are specific to the FoosFit and how you can get better practice, then that's what we'll do. So what you're going to see here is sort of that framework. You see a video here, which is sort of just a little intro to the snake shot, and then there's some text here. Every one of them are going to have these 4 links across the top here, so you can click on resources. These are videos that have been pulled by us, and more can be added at any time. Anytime we see something good, we can just add it to the database and it'll show up here. This is a resource link, right? It's talking about different people. Ryan Napton, like I mentioned, Unreal Foos, and then you have VM Foos out of Hong Kong, I think. He's got some really good videos. And then you have pro tips. So in this case, I have one pro tip. It's by Billy Pappas. He's talking about how to shoot the rollover, or at least his way to shoot it, right? The way he approaches it. And then lessons. And this is really the meat of it. You have 4 accordions here that you can click on. And as you click on them, see, you have a series of lessons below, just like this. First thing you may ask yourself is, what do these mean? Why time the bobbing hole, right? Well, why pattern recognition? Look, if I was your mentor, I may go about one way to look at foosball and teach you. Somebody else may have a slightly different way to view foosball. In the end, though, many of the theories of foosball are very similar. Whether you're timing a hole or you're trying to recognize a pattern, or if you're trying to hit a hole at a very specific time, maybe the defense opens and you have to hit it, right? So all these things, the whole point of the FoosFit was to try to best align with real world defenses, right? So we had to come up with categories in order to pretty much organize the lessons, right? And also match them to different modes. It just makes it a little bit easier for when you're trying to go to practice, kind of know where you may want to look for a certain lesson. For example, time the bobbing hole right now has 2 lessons, right? It's a push-pull straight standard defense. And then there's a push-pull straight reverse defense under time the bobbing hole. Now, if you notice also across here, you see the links across here, you have beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So when you click on beginner, you have lesson 43. Well, if you notice, its sibling would be intermediate, which is lesson 44. It's asking you to perform very similar functions. It's advancing it a little. Maybe it's moving a little faster, the range may change, right? Just whatever it could be, the pattern or whatever you're doing for that lesson. Now, I'll just tell you that right up front, when you are looking at time the bobbing hole, I created the lessons. Most of the lessons for time the bobbing hole are going to be manual mode. Hit the open hole will be practice mode. And then pattern recognition is mostly playback mode. The one called hit between several open holes, which is right here, that one is a little tricky because it could be either practice or the playback mode, just so you know. But every lesson you go to will have the 3 categories. So if you start out with beginner and it's just too easy for you, then maybe you want to go to intermediate or advanced, right? And kind of see where you start to falter and what you need to work on. Now, when you decide to pick one, what's going to happen is if you were to say time the bobbing hole, and then you said, okay, I want to load that defense, right? And that's the whole point of the practice of the training platform, is to try to get you up and running quickly, right? Versus trying to go to a mode and then set all the ranges and maybe make your own defense or find a defense, right? Or we wanted it to be such that you're like, hey, I want to work on my 2 to 5. And then you could just go pull a series of lessons quickly and hit the load button, and within literally like 30 seconds, you can start practicing, right? That was our goal, and that's kind of what we've achieved at this point. And I'll talk a little about some of the other things in the works as well in a minute. But, so let's say you want to do this lesson right here, 43. What you're going to do is hit load. Now, 2 things are going to happen. If you watch the men on the table for different modes, you're going to see that it's going to like preset them in, right? But also watch on the screen, right in the center here, it's going to tell you what mode was loaded and the lesson ID. Now, it's kind of important, not that it's that big a deal in the sense that you're going to find out really quickly what mode's loaded, but it just kind of prepares you what you're going to do next, right? So if you watch in the center of the screen here, it says manual defense loaded, that's for each rod, and then manual mode activated, right? So it's saying, hey, I activated the manual mode and I loaded this defense for you. You're ready to go. So you would basically just X out right here. Now I recommend people do not go here and X because it's going to take you back to the home screen. And every time you try to come back in here, you're going to have to go through a series of steps to get back where you were. If you just X out right here, it's going to keep you where you were at. So if you were to open the screen again, bam, you're right where you're at. So you can practice a lesson, move to the next one without a lot of hassle. So once you close it, you can see that we're in manual mode. See that? Because that's the one that's highlighted. So we're ready to go. And it also moved the men, as you can see on the table there. They moved them to one side. It's basically what it's doing. It's getting ready to do a shuffle. And if I hit play, as you can see, boom, it's shuffling, right? And that's kind of slow. And then if you were to go, oh, I want to do it, I'd like to do it intermediate mode, right? and then I'm going to load that defense. So boom, same thing. We're going to close this. We're going to hit play. As you can see, it's a little quicker, right? Now, each lesson can be different, so I can't sit here and tell you what everything that's defined right now. But I do want to mention one point, though. A lot of people are going to say, oh, I'm looking at that defense, I can shoot on it. Oh, that's real easy. That's not the point of practice. The point of the practice is if you're going to say, hey, I want to see if I can time the push side really good. Well, you put that man on there and it's popping back and forth there, and you're going to try to hit the hole. Obviously, if it's going slow, you're going to say that's easy, right? Or maybe it's moving in a really large range for a beginner. Maybe for a pro, you've got it set up where it's a super tight, barely opening up, and it's super quick, right? Almost so quick that even a top player like Tony can't even hit it, but he can anticipate it, right? So then you're working on something else. So it's not always about, oh, I can hit the hole, or I see the hole, I'm going to hit it, right? It's what I like to do is take one specific defense, and I may work on that one defense for like an hour straight. I may work on it slower just to see if I can hit it. Then I'll see how fast I can go and still hit it, time it. And then when I go too fast, then I'll try to anticipate it. So I'll try to hit it when it's closed, right? Then I'll even sometimes disconnect one of the guys, right? For example, I'll show you something. I may say, hey, I want to turn off this guy, right? I'm going to come back to the goalie. I'm going to just going to shuffle one guy. See that? I may practice trying to hit the long and the split right there. Like it's almost like a 3/4 split, right? That's tough to do. Just imagine if the man's moving this fast, right? Can you hit that? How many can you hit in a row? How good is your timing, right? So you may have to slow it down, right? So you can play with the lessons. You don't have to keep the lesson exactly like it's defined. So sometimes I'll do the same thing. I'll turn that guy off and put this one on, right? And I'll do the same thing with the 2-rod, and I'll try to time the push side. Or if I'm working on a pull shot, I may change them up, configure them differently. So that's just a little about different ways you can approach practice. Don't put yourself in a box. Be open-minded and try to think outside the box, actually. So there, we can load a defense, right? Cool. Now let's say, all right, I want to work on, let's say, pattern recognition, right? Boom, same thing. Pick your poison, right? Standard defense, reverse defense, switching defense. And as you click the different levels, you're going to see that they're a little quicker and just different things are happening. You know, with the practice mode, if you've seen it already, you can change, you know, how long the hole opens. Is it random? The timing it opens, right? Just all kinds of craziness. But just so you know, if you hit the load button here, it loads playback mode. See that? And playback defense loaded is 191. We come here. Look at that. We're in playback mode now. And you can look here. See it's playback. There's our playback control window. Boom. Click on it, and there's all your defenses, right? So you just click on a defense and load it, hit play. Same thing you'd always do. Now, not every lesson is going to have, say, 10 defenses, right? Or 7 defenses, or whatever it is. Each lesson will have whatever we think it needs for that mode, right? So, if, for instance, when I made some zones, I made different zones for a pull shot, a push shot, and just different things. I had a zone where you're on the wall shooting. Well, I had one where you're on the line, and then one on the goal. Each one of those, I just put 1 or 2 different zones, right, or 2 different defenses in there. And I made one for beginner, intermediate, where they're a little faster, the holes open a little more obvious. But of course, we can add more, right? I just needed a way to get as many in there as I could to replicate it. Now, let me talk a little about something. There are other videos that may actually pop up here that you're not seeing today. It's just because we don't have them ready, or there may not be a need in some cases. For instance, under each one of these categories here, when you open it up, there can be a video that'll pop up right above this that'll talk specifically about time the bobbing hole. Maybe for the rollover, we want to say, hey, for this time the bobbing hole, these are the important things you should be looking for, just like I kind of mentioned earlier. So if you're doing a pull shot, there may be a video that pops up very specific to that, right? Same thing if you hit the open hole. Maybe it's the practice feature and it's saying, hey, this is how you really want to learn how to time a defense or whatever, right? Or learn how to hit the holes when they open. So you may see videos pop up in different places, as well as every one of these tables here, they're images now, but they can also be videos. So the code has been written, the back end of it is a database, and we can plug in anything we want into it. So if I want a video here, I just go plug it in there and boom, it'll show. Why would we do that? Well, maybe this lesson is very specific. Maybe it's like mimicking Tony Spreedman's zone or Tony Spreedman's shot or whatever. We're going to say, hey, this is the way Tony would approach this, right? Or maybe we can even get Tony to kind of explain in his words this lesson, right? How he would approach it, right? So there's a lot of things that they're really looking to come in the future, right? But, and another thing, let's see, I was going to say about this is, so I sort of remember what I was going to say. The other thing is that what we're working on in the background is, as you see, there's a little pencil here on the corner. The idea is in the future, we want it to be such that you can press this pencil and it's going to pop up statistics. Since you're logged into your account, it will pop up statistics about that lesson. Maybe it could show you your previous lessons when you've attempted them. It could so you'll be able to track your lessons, basically is what I'm trying to say. You can set it up. You can put your results in for the night. We're hoping that you could also build like a curriculum. Say you want to work on a little bit on the 2 to the 5 and your rollover, right? Well, you could pull 4 or 5 lessons and you could add them to what's your personal curriculum, and then every night you come in, it's going to show you those 5 lessons. You're going to go through them, each one of them. You're going to put your stats in there, and it's going to record them. And then the next day when you come in, same thing. Right at the end of the week, you can graph it out and say, hey, last Monday when I started, I was 1 out of 5 on doing, whatever, a 2 to the 5 pass, down, brush, right, or whatever. And then by the end of the week, I was 5 for 5. Wow, I went from an F to an A, right? So overall, you better practice. And once you complete those 5 lessons and you really, got them down perfect, you can go either to intermediate mode or you can change it to a different 5 lessons, right? So just the point is we're trying to make like a dashboard so you can track your progress and then you can kind of keep the history. That'll be really important. You can see how you're progressing through your game, right? So that's the one thing I was trying to say before that I kind of forgot. I think I covered everything. All I can say is click on something, start practicing, and good luck. Thank you.